This is Kits and Wagers. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Chris Owen. We're talking game week 14 in the Premier League. Chris, welcome in. You had a positive 2-1 week last week. We didn't hit the parlay. As everyone knows, I went 4-0.
Everyone knows.
Chris, what's going on? It's our usual Thursday here. I guess a little bit later because the Europa Leagues are over. So I guess we don't have the live results going on right now to look at.
Yeah, Adam, great work last week on going 4-0. I ended up. That's always a good week for it. Doesn't matter if it's me or it's you or whoever. That's an awesome week. I was negative on internet connection, so I appreciate you stepping in and really taking the load on your shoulders there per se. And then plus that, not only were you flying solo, but you flew solo into 4-0. I somehow limped into a 2-1 record, and then I missed the parlay. So that's on me. But back here, I'm back in the bunker. I'm in my basement. I've got my home set up now, so I'm comfortable. It's Thursday. We got a fresh slate of matches. I'm pretty excited, and we're back here to talk about a couple more. I'm hoping to keep a little positive streak going, and I got to be closing in on 500 on the bet, so I'm getting pretty close.
You are. You're getting there.
So I've been inching back since a rough start. So
Yeah, I did notice. I don't think you actually watched the show last week, did you?
I did not.
There's a picture of you on it that I used.
Oh man, now I gotta go back. I was in the middle of Massachusetts, Western Mass. Yeah, and internet connection at the Airbnb wasn't particularly good. And then I was at a wedding all weekend. You know how those go. Wasn't locked in as maybe I should have been. So apologies to the fans, apologies to you here, but we're back.
I told everyone that I've been waiting for a new picture from you, so this one was on your fault. I'm using the same one from like 10 years ago on Facebook.
Yeah, that's funny. Now I'm gonna go in and send you a few because I can't have 19-year-old Chris just out there on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, once we get to the World Cup too, we're gonna need something else.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a little bit more for the fans.
All right, so game week 14 coming at us after another midweek of Champions League matches, and it's going to be the same case next week. But this week we got some big favorites. As I put together rankings for FPL, for Fantrax, it's pretty noticeable. A lot of the big teams are favored this week. Arsenal against Nottingham Forest, Man City against Leicester City, Liverpool against Leeds, all above 70% chance to win, which is pretty high. There are weeks when there's not even one team is that big of a favorite. So it kind of puts maybe sometimes a little more difficult to put things together, though obviously you're going to get the public loves to, parlay big favorites, and right. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people just parlaying these favorites, but that's not what we do. We're not the public here. We're just winning bets. That's all we do. So
Adam and I will send each other our bets sometimes before the show, or we do. And he always, does his article ahead of time, and then I'm kind of oh, I'm getting ready to do the show here. What do you think? I'm going to go with this one, and then it's always yeah, I was going to do it. Adam's yeah, I already have that bet. That's in my article, so it's kind of funny.
So the first game we're talking about is the Graham Potter, the battle for Graham Potter. Well, not for him, but Chelsea already got him, but Brighton are home against Chelsea, and it was about a month ago that Graham Potter went to Chelsea. So we got Brighton at plus 195 to win. Chelsea are plus 150. Draws plus 230. Over 2.5 goals plus 105. Under 2.5 goals minus 130. So Brighton are having a really hard time scoring under De Zerbi. Now they're home against Chelsea, against Graham Potter and company, and Chelsea have been pretty solid under Potter for the most part. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think I don't know. It's just an interesting matchup with Graham Potter going against all his former players basically here.
Yeah, super interesting matchup. We got the Graham Potter derby here. This is taking place at Brighton, I believe.
Yeah, at Brighton.
Yeah, the line movement's kind of interesting too, as it's gotten more positive for Brighton, despite the fact that their results have been worse here. We're looking at, not like it's anything crazy, but it was 210. Was that maybe? Is that are the dots games or the dots months? October 22nd, so a week ago.
Yeah.
or yeah, a little under a week ago, basically. It was 210, and now it's gone towards them, which I don't necessarily understand. But yeah, I mean, Brighton not playing well. It seems like they can't score. They're facing their old manager, so there is a little bit of a storyline there. So for some of those players who, like, oh man, Grandma, we had a good thing going. I wish you would have stuck around. Now we can't put the ball in the net. On the other hand, Chelsea have been super good lately. Like, I mean, getting some good results. They did. I guess what did they have been much better under Graham Potter. They're not conceding very many goals. I mean, they had that kind of heartbreaking tie last week to Man United where Kepa let it in. Like, what was that stoppage time from Casemiro?
Yeah,
So,
that was a great header.
Awesome header. But yeah, like Kepa's been unbelievable for them lately. I picked him up in more of a season long fantasy league, and like I was like, man, this guy's been like 8 saves, 6 saves, clean sheet, and then he had against United, he was doing really well too, and then just like kind of whatever happened there. But yeah, I was looking back at the previous results, and it's interesting. The last time Brighton beat Chelsea was in 2012, and I believe it was in like the League Cup or something like that. So this must have been before Brighton's time in the Premier League. Otherwise, Chelsea's unbeaten against them in that time period. But when you look back at the past 6 matches, Chelsea's only won one of those matches. So I'm a little bit dubious here of my bet. I took Chelsea money line.
Dubious.
I'm taking Chelsea money line plus 150 here. They're going away to Brighton, mostly on recent form from Chelsea. Stringing together a few wins. Brighton failing to score the ball. Chelsea especially pretty solid defensively. So I'm there, but now I'm a little bit dubious as I looked up the recent results and saw that like Brighton's actually been holding Chelsea to draws 5 out of the past 6 matches. But yeah, I see you kind of diverted from anything from taking a side here, which is classic. And honestly, given how you performed last week with your corner bets, you kind of just got to ride that wave.
In case you missed it, for some reason, I did hit 3 corner bets last week. It was just an incredible streak. I think on the show, it might be 7 or 8 straight corner bets.
Say, yeah.
We're getting up there, but I mainly looked at this one just because I think this one is kind of hard to read. Brighton have had a really hard schedule under De Zerbi. I mean, it's just that they've kind of had trouble scoring. They scored against Man City. Before that, they didn't score in their prior 3 matches. So you look at that, but they've been playing fine. It's just they can't score. Like they've been actually competitive. They outplayed a bunch of teams in there. They just couldn't score. And if you look at Potter's teams, it's kind of the same formation, maybe playing a little bit different, but some of the same mostly the same guys. He's not rotating a bunch either. The questions I have with Chelsea are going to be, we'll see what happens in the midfield. I don't think Potter has actually figured it out with who he likes the most and what he wants to do. And the injuries don't help, like Reece James, Fofana out, but Kovacic also picked up an issue midweek, so we'll see what happens with that. Kovacic came on, after 45 minutes against Manchester United for, I think, Cucurella because it just wasn't working. So.
Yeah. It was like 35 minutes. It was like pre-half.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was super early. And without Kovacic in there, I do have some doubts for Chelsea if he doesn't start. So that's kind of why I went to the corners here. But back to what I was saying with Brighton, they've actually been playing well at home. I think because they've had trouble scoring, I think we're going to get, assuming Brighton don't score in the first 30 minutes and this bet doesn't have a chance kind of a thing, assuming it just keeps going the same with Brighton having trouble scoring, that no matter what happens, if it's scoreless, if Chelsea go up, that Brighton are going to be pushing and they're going to get. I looked at a couple different options here, but race to 5 corners plus 120 odds. That one kind of looked the best to me, so that's what I'm going with here.
You could even parlay this if you really wanted to and get some like plus 300 odds, given they're not really in opposition. If you believe in both of us, I believe in Adam slightly more. But
did you put that together?
It's got to be probably like plus 350.
We'll do a same game parlay on DraftKings. Unfortunately, the odds change when you do same game parlays on DraftKings. So Chelsea money line is plus 130. And total number of what did I look at? Race to 5 corners. That's what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
Well, it's interesting because a
You
lot,
can't
you
even
know.
do race to corners in
Oh
same game
man,
parlays. Come on, DraftKings. Gosh.
that's a bummer because I was gonna say like usually we're either kind of fully together here on these bets or at odds where these are kind of they've diverted paths.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Chelsea score in the first half, they're up 1-0, and then Brighton are just chasing after it. I think this is like both these bets are going to hit. So,
Yeah.
next game, we have Chris's team here. We got Liverpool home home at minus 330 against Leeds, who are now plus 800. So we look at the line movement here. Leeds were plus 700 2 days ago. Now they're plus 800. The draw is plus 500. And I don't have the over-unders up, but I think the odds have
They're pretty
changed.
insane.
Yeah, the odds here, over 3.5 goals, minus 110, under 3.5 goals, minus 110. I think a lot of that is just Leeds have been pretty bad away from home this season and also at home because they just gave up 3 goals against Fulham. But they gave up 5 goals at Brentford a little more than a month ago, and they also have a ton of injuries. Jesse Marsh came out today and basically listed 5 guys who weren't even injured before. So we got questions up front with like Rodrigo, with Sinistera. We got questions in the back with Tyler Adams in the midfield and Liam Cooper. So there's a bunch of issues. If he has to rotate it all, Leeds didn't look good in the midfield without Tyler Adams last week. And, sure, Liverpool coming off the Nottingham Forest loss, but they beat Ajax 3-0 midweek. I mean, this could be a spot where Liverpool score 4 or 5 goals, or it could be a repeat of what Liverpool have looked like in recent league matches. But how do you think this one's going to play out for you, for
Yeah,
your team?
really, really interesting match here. I mean, midweek, I think there was like some report that the owners are still backing Jesse Marsh at Leeds United, which fair. I feel like their performances have been decent, but they just like they can't score. And as you mentioned, their injury situation is pretty troubling. On the other side of it, you've got a Liverpool side who've pretty much been an emotional yo-yo. They go and win a big match against Manchester City, and then they come back and lose 1-0 to Nottingham Forest in a game where they honestly didn't look like they had an opportunity to win it at all. Like you didn't walk away from that one saying there was points left on the board. It was just like what I thought was a fair result. And then they come back and play Ajax, and they look good against Ajax, and now facing Leeds United, who like they kind of Leeds United, like I wouldn't say duplicated the Jurgen Klopp, like the former pressing style, but that is kind of how they operate. Where Liverpool are now playing like they're kind of there was a recent article on the Athletic where it's like they've backed off, they're pressing less, they're kind of playing like a little bit more of possession. So to that degree, I don't know if I see a huge score line on this one. Just like given what's happened. I mean, Liverpool beat Ajax 3-0 at the midweek, but prior to that, in the Premier League, it was 1-0, 1-0, and then another 1-0 where they lost. Where Leeds, I guess last week it was 3-2 against Fulham, but other than that, there hasn't been a whole lot of goals specifically from them. So to that degree, it's not often that you see under 3.5 at minus 110, or like an over 3.5 is a little bit different, but an under 3.5 minus 110, I feel like I'm going to take that all day, just given like Leeds can't score. I think Liverpool are going to play this like a little bit more from a concerted effort, I guess, like a little bit more packed in, like they have been playing that 4-4-2. So all in all, I'm going to take that under 3.5 at minus 110.
So you're not worried about last season's results? It was 9-0 between two matches. Just because of how they're playing recently, kind of a thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'd throw that one out the door. Like, didn't who was it? Was it not Ranieri? Bielsa. Didn't he was like shortly out the door shortly after that result, I thought.
Yeah, February probably.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to Scott Parker at Bournemouth. But I mean, I don't foresee them going 9-0 again.
Well, that was between two matches.
Okay.
It was 3-0 and then 6-0.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen here. I don't think their style of play recently is conducive to them like putting up that many goals. Whereas last year, like that style of play was conducive to like packing them home. So yeah. Anyways, it looks like you got a little tasty treat of a bet here on the screen.
Yeah, my dog is agreeing
He needs a
with
tasty treat, it sounds like.
yeah. Yeah, so I agree with your bet in theory. I am just worried that, Liverpool do go off for uh, five or so goals. Just if we're looking at the Leeds away matches just haven't been very good. So that's the one thing I'm worried about. But um, I'm going. I like this bet here. I was trying to find. I looked for corner options, but when you have big favorites, the corner options aren't really there unless you do like over how more corners than you think there's going to be kind of a thing. So I'm just going Liverpool to win with Mo Salah to score at -120. Pretty simple. I think Liverpool are going to score on this one. I don't know if it's going to be 5 goals. I don't know if it's going to be 2 goals, but I think Salah is going to be involved and pretty simple to take them to win. So -120. Yeah, there you go. Pretty simple bet. Again, another one where we can both win. So there you go.
Nice. Can you parlay this one? I mean, you have the parlay with the parlay here. Liverpool money line, solid
Yeah, you
score
should be
over
able
three.
to.
Yeah, I think that's easy enough.
Yeah, let's do it. So we got Liverpool -390, Salah -165, and then under 3.5 goals +360 to parlay this.
Are you taking that parlay, Adam?
I told you the under is correct in theory, but I am worried. I
Yeah,
am
that's
worried
fair.
about it.
That's fair.
We should I guess we should mention it. It's possible Konate is back in the starting 11. He was on the bench midweek, so he may take the spot of Joe Gomez. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. Whereas Leeds are in like the opposite situation injury
Yeah.
wise.
Well, I mean, both dealing with a couple key players out of the lineup.
Yeah. Next match is there's only 2 Sunday matches this week, so we got 8 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. This one we got so the other match is Manchester United home against West Ham. This one is Arsenal home against Nottingham Forest. Arsenal are -500. That number's actually gone down if you see on the line movement page at rotowire.com. October 25th, 2 days ago, Arsenal were -575. Now they're -500. So that's interesting, but the odds for Nottingham Forest to win really haven't changed. So Nottingham Forest +1400, and then you got the draw at +600. Over 2.5 goals is -195. Over 3.5 goals is +125. Under what? 2.5 goals +155. Nottingham Forest coming off a 1-0 win against Liverpool. Are they going to beat Arsenal here at Arsenal though?
They've been hanging tough on some okay teams. I mean, they drew. I watched that Brighton match. I think that was about a week and a half ago, and that was 0-0. You know, they looked really strong defensively against Liverpool. Ryan Yates, man, I love watching him. He's kind of just battles in the middle. But they have some less than desirable results, specifically the 1-0 loss to Wolverhampton and the 4-0 loss to Leicester. Arsenal proving that they are human. Dropped points to Southampton last weekend and then lost to PS. Did that happen today? PSV today?
Yeah,
But
2-0 earlier today.
yeah, they kind of like came out of the gates, really strong from an attacking perspective, and they've got 4 goals in the past 5 in their past 5 matches. So it's not necessarily coming together, but they've been. I mean, they got a great back line from my perspective. But yeah, that being said, I'm not really sure. I don't have a read here on this match. It's tough. Obviously, if you really want to go on a big bet, you could go Nottingham Forest here +1400. Pretty insane. But you don't get any favors on the over/under in my perspective. They're both kind of in like that no man's land of where I'm trying to avoid. So to that degree, I'm avoiding picking a team. I'm avoiding the over/under. And I'm just gonna go, back to the well here, to Adam's well.
Let's go.
We're gonna hit a little corners bet. So let me game theory this a little bit. The bet to put it out all on the table here is under 4.5 corners.
In the first half.
In the first half.
I did not put that. Sorry, graphic.
Yeah.
In the first half.
We got to specify there. Under 4.5 corners in the first half. So if it's 4 corners, 3, 2, 1, bang, we're in the money. If it's 5 corners, I'm in trouble here. The down dollar sign is going the wrong way here. But if it hits, I'm inching closer. Um, but game theory here is that Nottingham Forest have really been like compact. I feel like they're going to try to feel out Arsenal a little bit in the same way that they felt out Liverpool. If Arsenal, best case scenario here, Arsenal scores a goal early, and they kind of just cruise, the match just goes forth, it like dies down. But if Nottingham once again like kind of like they did to Liverpool score a goal in the first half, then this like early in the match, then this bet is I don't feel great about it. So if they score in the first 20 minutes, it's like Arsenal's probably going to come at them and like kind of throw the kitchen sink at them to kind of respond, and then I'm like, But yeah, Nottingham Forest. I looked at the total, the over. I guess it was. I think the under 10.5 was like minus something. I forget what it was, but I looked at that. But you look at Nottingham Forest, they give up the second most corners behind Everton, and Arsenal on the other hand, like they also like give up a few too. So all in all, I was like, I'm gonna just avoid that one and try to get it out and try to like game theory the first half.
I think this one makes sense. I would also consider under 2.5 goals at plus 155, and I agree with all the comments you said about how Forest are playing. In terms of this bet, I think the way it doesn't hit is if so Arsenal coming off the midweek loss, they haven't scored a bunch. If they're just in the attacking third for the majority of the first half and Forest are really just sitting back and Arsenal have five corners themselves, that's the one thing I'm worried about. But uh, if not, then you're golden. So there you go. I don't think Arsenal are a high rate corner team either. So I think that's also going in your
Yeah.
favor. I believe we looked at it just before the show. They are actually, I think I have the tab still up here. They're about middle of the league table. I think they're exactly 10th in terms of how many corners they've taken this season. So 58 corners
Yeah.
for 11 matches, 5 point less than less than
Yeah.
six.
They're conceding about 3.5 per 90 minutes, whereas Nottingham Forest is conceding about 7 per 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think maybe Forest will get one corner in the first half, but you're just hoping that Arsenal don't get more than three, kind of a thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, my bet is I'm going with Arsenal. I mean, they're minus 500 to win, so I'm just going to bring that down, and I'm going to take Forest not to score. So Arsenal to win to nil, minus 113. I got those odds at FanDuel. I actually did recently find this bet at DraftKings, but it's only in single game parlays. And it like what else are you gonna parlay the win to nil bet in? It's already basically a parlay, but I don't get what DraftKings is doing with this bet. They don't like it apparently, but you can find it at FanDuel now. Actually, sorry, I created this myself at FanDuel. I did Arsenal money line with no on both teams to score. That's what you have to do to create this bet because a lot of these sports books have gotten rid of it for some reason. But yeah, minus 113. I don't think Nottingham Forest are going to score. Yeah, pretty simple as that. I think they're what last. I mean, I'm going back now. Is it last four? I probably should have grabbed this number beforehand. Maybe their last four away matches they haven't scored. So I feel pretty good about this bet. They just haven't looked great in the attack, and Arsenal will be wanting to get that clean sheet after losing Thursday. So there you go.
Love it.
All right, that's it. That's it for the 6-0 bet segment. And now we get into Team Parlay. Team Parlay is 3-9. We're 3-9, Chris. We're 3-9. But I mean, you look at our parlay records. I'm 5-7. You're 6-5, and our overall records are fine. Are pretty okay. But the problem comes when we don't hit on the same week. That's the
Yeah.
that's what's coming down to. But I forgot to mention I am putting the money totals here. So down 105. This is if you put $100 on every parlay. And if you look at the prior slides, if you put $100 on all of our bets, you're up 1784 in mine and only down 177. So for the show, you're up more than $1,000. So you're welcome for giving you all that money. Looks like we're just getting spammed here in the live chat, but all right, I got that figured out.
I was looking at that. I was like, oh.
All right, so I'm back to the well here. Over 4.5 corners in the first half between Newcastle and Aston Villa. This one's a minus 135. Newcastle at home They like to push at home. They like to press the other team, and I think they lead the league in corners right now. So, on the other side of that, I went back, or I didn't go back, but I looked at the stats for Unai Emery at Villarreal the last 2 seasons. Villarreal, sixth worst in the team at allowing corners this season, sixth worst in La Liga in allowing corners last season. So Aston Villa already did a 4-2-3-1 last week. They got the 4-0 win, but home against Brentford. So I think Newcastle are gonna probably control this match. Maybe it'd be a little more up and down, but over 4.5 corners, I think Newcastle are gonna attack from the start, and maybe they get 3 corners, Villa get 2, or Newcastle get 5 corners themselves. I like this one at -135.
You love a corners bet. We love a corners bet. It's corners and wagers nowadays. I mean, interesting enough, we get the new manager bump here too. I think I got the laid off manager bump last week on the Aston Villa bet. But yeah, love it. Newcastle are like such an intriguing side now too, and I'm intrigued to see what Unai Emery does. Good evening. With the new squad, especially a squad that's kind of full of talent. So yeah, this is an interesting bet, and I'm going to no corners for me here. I think we've got enough.
I'm gonna say if we hit all the corners on this show again, we're only gonna parlay corner bets together.
Yeah,
that's what we're
next
gonna
week,
do.
if that's the case, next week then it's a corners parlay.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go take the odds-on favorite here to win. I think they're the biggest favorite on the slate. I want to say maybe, yeah, they gotta be.
Arsenal are.
Arsenal are okay, and then it's City and then Liverpool. But I was kind of looking around, and I was of 2 tracks here. The over 3.5 goals is +110. I thought about doing that one here, but that's just kind of a lot of goals, and I didn't know what to expect with City playing in the midweek here. I thought about parlaying that, but ultimately I was like, well, let's just take the big favorite here, and so I'm taking Man City -1.5 at -135 odds here. It is a little bit interesting. Their last matchup was 6-3 last on Boxing Day last December. Other than that, these matches have been pretty close, and Leicester have actually got, I guess they won one of 2 of the past 6 matches, but there's been a couple matches with a lot of goals where City have kind of pulled away. They've won 2-0, 5-2, 6-3 here. So I'm expecting them to kind of run riot over Leicester. A little bit kind of in opposition to this is that Leicester have actually been a lot better at home. They're 2-2-2. They are way better defensively. They've only conceded 5 goals at home, whereas they've conceded a total of 19 goals at home. So keep that in mind. I found that out as I was looking while we were doing this, but so that makes me a little bit more scared of this bet. But I just think City are a much stronger side, and that they'll be able to win by at least by 2 goals, I should say.
I agree with this one. My article is going to be coming out later today. I took a different Manchester City bet, but I'm kind of you look at the Leicester City home games, and that's fine, but the last 3, home against Leeds, home against Crystal Palace, home against Nottingham Forest. I mean, the recent results, they scored 4 goals on 5 shots against Wolves. So, I mean, you got all that in there. This is their hardest match since losing 6-2 against Tottenham. And I think this is just going to be a different animal for Leicester City. They're going to try and defend the entire time, which is kind of what you do against Manchester City. They're going to try and get Harvey Barnes, Madison, and Daka or Vardy on the counter, kind of a thing. But I'm just not sure it's going to work. We'll see. Again, I just think Leicester City's recent run of matchups, this is just a different animal, and I don't think they're going to be ready for it, even at home. So I like that one. So both our bets -135. That's +203 odds. I took over 4.5 corners in the first half for Newcastle Aston Villa. You took Manchester City -1.5. And those are the bets for the show. Game week 14, anything else pop out to you? Just in terms of, I mean, we talked about the 3 biggest favorites, but does anything else pop out for what should be some closer matches here?
I mean, Brighton Chelsea's probably the one that I'll have my eyes on. just given the matchup. Fulham Everton, always kind of exciting. I don't know what to think about either team, and ultimately I think like Everton are going to have an uphill battle as things go. But yeah, I'm looking forward to those two matches, and yeah, just a good slate overall. I will say, I'm going to give a quick plug to the 11:45 Pacific start on the Liverpool Leeds match on Saturday. That is a thing of beauty.
The opposite of last week.
Yeah, opposite of last week where it was, what was it, 7, or it would have been 4:30 Pacific, which luckily I was on the East Coast. But I did wake up for that and watch that atrocity. But yeah, that's what I'm fired up. I'll be watching Sunday too. They clear the runway for some NFL for us to get into that too. So should be a great weekend of sports, and hopefully we get some good matches out of it too.
Yeah, Fulham and Everton, definitely two sides. I did not take a bet in that matchup. Fulham have been kind of, I don't know, surprising in recent results. I'm not sure if it's matchup or they're just playing really well with Mitrovic kind of a thing, and Everton coming off that 3-0 win. But I will plug my article one more time. That's going to be going up. I do have Manchester United in a parlay. It's a secret here, but Manchester United, I got them money line. I think it's minus 145 with something else in the parlay. You got to read the article to find out. But on this show, I'm 7-0 on Manchester United bets, so you should probably take that parlay is what I'm saying. But
easily 25-11 overall. Listen to the man.
Listen to the man until I stop hitting bets. I went back to last season. So last season I started in my article, not on the show. I know we didn't have as much success on the show last year, but in my article last year, I started 17-2 for the first 3 weeks, and then 25-9 through the first, I think, 5 or 6 weeks, and then it fell off. So at some point, I'm gonna start falling off, but I haven't started falling off yet. So you just gotta follow my bets until I fall off, and then we'll see what happens.
Till the corner bet stops hitting, and then you gotta shy away.
I don't know. Corner bets are gonna hit rest of the season. I think
That's
we got it. We got it figured out. We're all set.
Love it.
All right, you can find Chris at CHRON8 on Twitter. I'm at RotoZdroik, and if you want to be subscribed to RotoWire, rotowire.com/soccer trial. Free 10-day trial. You can get this excellent cheat sheet. It's called the Fan Team Cheat Sheet. Control F. Find the cheat sheet. You got all 10 matches here. You got all 10 win percentages, clean sheet percentages, all of it. But Chris, let's win some bets. I think we can actually win all of these bets this week. Last week we couldn't. Yeah, we can. We can win all these bets. So let's do it.
Let us do it.
7-0, 8-0, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna sweep this week. So Chris, good luck, and good luck to everyone betting on Game Week 14 in the Premier League.
Thanks, Adam.